Jeff Bezos is the world's richest middleman. He took a model that's thousands of years old, applied it to the internet, and turned it into one of the biggest companies on earth. And he did it by following 5 specific rules, and every one of them applies to whatever you're building today. Now, the business world is louder than it's ever been. New distractions every single day, no clear way to make decisions. You'll spend years working, but never actually building anything. Bezos built Amazon on these rules in 1994. They still work the same way today, and that's not a coincidence. So let me break them down and show you how to apply each one to your own business today. Echo, Amazon Prime, Kindle, each one of these Amazon products started on a piece of paper. For every product idea, Bezos tells his employees to create a 1-page press release. Now, the press release has a headline, it has a launch date, a description of the problem that the product is solving. Then the product team reads it out loud in the room, and if the press release doesn't interest the room in the product, it dies right there at that moment. Now, believe it or not, every single Amazon product that has been released went through this process before they invested in anything else. But here's what most people miss. Hundreds of other Amazon products died in those rooms. Products that we're never going to see, and that's the whole point of the press release system, to work in reverse and think about the customer before the product. So to kill the bad ideas before they cost anything. But most people, they do the exact opposite. They find a product that looks really cool, and then they try and figure out who to sell it to. And that's why their whole business dies after a few weeks, because they built backwards. Working in reverse means starting with the community of people that you are going to serve. Things like, who are they? What's keeping them up at night? Why do they want the product? Those are the things that you should focus on, not whether the product is trending right now or going viral. So the next time that you see a product, apply the same concept that Amazon does. Now, obviously, you don't need to write a whole press release yourself, but the logic is the same. Answer these 3 questions before you test anything, and you're doing basically what Jeff Bezos does. So the first thing, you need to know who is actually buying this. Now, let's just say that you're selling noise canceling headphones. So instead of writing a generic answer like people who want silence, your answer should be very specific. So here's a example for you. A 29-year-old software developer in an open plan office with noise and people around him talking and distracting. So that's going to be the person that you're selling to. The next question is, what's he actually trying to solve in his own words? People search for solutions, not features. And let me just explain exactly what I mean by that. But he's not going to Google something like premium acoustic isolation technology, right? He's going to search for things like headphones that block voices and noise. So your answer should be something like, he can't focus because his coworkers won't stop talking. And then the final question is, why is your solution the best one for him? Chances are there are a ton of products that are trying to solve the same problem that you're trying to solve, but most of those products won't work for him. Now, in his case, he probably tried AirPods that don't block speech, or he tried foam earplugs that are uncomfortable after a few hours, right? So think about why your product is different and what makes it the best option for that person. Now, an answer here could be something like, because these headphones have technology that specifically block human speech, they're so comfortable that you'll never forget that you're even using them. Now, what you want to do is try to answer these questions for your product in less than 10 minutes. Now, if you can't do that, simply kill the product and find something better. So that's how you kill bad products before you waste a dime testing them. But even a great product fails in the wrong market. So let's talk about how to pick the right one. Now, before Amazon was Amazon, Bezos sat down at his desk and he made a list of 20 product categories he could potentially sell online. Now, he didn't pick one based on what was trending. He picked the one that was the best at 4 detailed signals. The first one was the SKU depth. So this is basically how many unique product exists in the specific category. So the more depth a product has, the more reasons the customer has to keep coming back for more. And Bezos could become the one place that has everything that they're looking for. Next, he evaluated the supply fragmentation, which is how many sellers are in the market. Now, if 3 giants own 80% of the market, he knew that he couldn't compete with them because they'd have the resources to simply push them out of the market. But if the market share was spread across thousands of small sellers, he had a chance to become that giant in the market. The next signal was retail difficulty. Now, Bezos was asking whether a regular supermarket could stock and sell this category well, because if they couldn't, that meant that the buyers would already be buying online. And finally, he rated the shipping economics. Shipping books is obviously going to be cheap, but shipping something like a couch is not going to be cheap. So the product cost is, let's just say $30, but the shipping cost is $15. It's not even worth trying. Now, in the end, books ended up winning on all 4 signals. They have a massive catalog and a fragmented supply. It's also impossible for a physical store to stock millions of titles, and they're very easy to ship. So Bezos didn't fall in love with books. He fell in love with the book market. Now, most people fall in love with the product before they even looked at the market it lives in. Now, they see something cool on TikTok or Instagram and they get super excited and they're like, okay, I'm going to start selling this. Then they lose money and they have no idea why, but the reason's pretty simple. They picked a pond without a fish and they only realized it after they bought all the fishing gear. Now everything could be perfect, their product, their ads, their store, but if the market is dying or it's saturated, none of that matters. So here's how you can make sure that you choose a pond full of fish. You're gonna rank your current market based on these 3 signals. These are basically the modern equivalent of what Bezos did. Fish is demand validation, so you can pull up the Meta ad library and count active ads for products in this market. Then you want to look for anywhere from 15 to 20 of them that have been running for more than 3 weeks. Now, if there are only a couple of ads or they've been running for less than 3 or so days, that's just not enough to go on because they could be in the early testing phase. And either way, that's just not a reliable signal. Then you need to check for saturation. So that's how many brands that are running ads in this space. You want to see multiple brands that are competing, but none of them completely dominating the market. So if there are only 2 or 3 massive stores owning the whole space, they have that budget and authority to push everyone else out. But if you're seeing 8 to 10 different brands that are all getting a slice, that means that there's probably room for another player. Next, you want to check if there's a strong community around it. So look for how many active subreddits, Facebook groups, or Discord servers exist for this market. And then you want to see how active those groups are. Now, if the only community that you can find is a dead forum with fewer than 1,000 members, there's probably not an actual community for you to sell to. Now, you're going to want to check every one of these signals. Now, let's just say 2 of these signals are weak. You are in the wrong pond and you should be looking for a pond with more fish. The third rule that Bezos followed is what decided if Amazon was going to become an actual business, and that is feed the winner. When Amazon went public in 1997, they didn't have a fully profitable year until 2003. So Amazon reported 6 years of losses, but this wasn't because the model didn't work. It was because Bezos chose not to make a profit, at least on paper. So every single dollar that Amazon earned was reinvested back into better warehousing, better infrastructure, and obviously faster delivery. They are notorious for their 2-day Prime, their 1-day, same-day Prime. Now, the investors weren't happy about this, and everyone thought that Amazon was going to die after just a few years. What they didn't realize is that Bezos was creating a snowball. Essentially, every single dollar that he put back in made the next dollar even easier to earn. So better warehouses meant cheaper shipping meant lower prices brought in more customers, and then more customers gave him more cash to reinvest. And then when that happened, not a single retailer could match what Amazon had. So in the first profitable year, Amazon was already bigger than most of its online competitors. And right now, most people are acting like most of those competitors. What do? They find a product that works, they make some money, and then they go find another product to sell. And honestly, I did this exact thing for the first few months of building my online business. I kept hunting new products instead of feeding the one that was already working. And in the end, I basically built nothing. So that's a clear reason why you should follow Bezos' rules and feed the one that's already working. So pick the one product or store that's working best for you right now and list 3 to 5 things that you could reinvest into this month. Could be better suppliers, custom packaging, better creators, more ad spend. You don't need to do all of them, just pick one and then fund it this week. Now, the next rule is the one that gets the most beginners unstuck, and I'm going to show you exactly how it applies to building your own online business. So Bezos introduced this in his letter to shareholders that said the following: some decisions are consequential and irreversible, one-way doors, and these decisions must be made methodically, carefully, slowly, with great deliberation and consultation. But most decisions aren't like that. They are changeable, reversible, they're two-way doors. These decisions can and should be made quickly. So basically, every single decision that you make can be separated into those 2 categories. So the problem is that most people treat two-way doors like they are one-way doors, and that's why they're so slow. Beginners, they do this constantly. They obsess over their store, their theme, their font, the images, the ad copy, pretty much everything. But none of those things are one-way doors. Every single one of these things can be changed in less than 24 hours. Now, there are still one-way doors in e-commerce, and those deserve a lot of research and time, but everything else can be done right now. And if you don't like it, you can just change it later. Here's how you can start applying this rule today. Make 2 columns. In the right column, you put the one-way doors. So these are decisions that you can research properly and take your time to decide. So these are things like your market, your community, your suppliers, your brand. So those are things that you can obviously not change without hurting your monthly income. Now, in the left column, you're going to put the two-way doors. So these are decisions that you should make in 2 minutes or less. Things like your store theme, your design, your pricing, which creators you reach out to. These are the things that you should build and finish within the next 24 hours. And the biggest one that most beginners I see waste time on is their store. So they'll be spending days tweaking fonts, moving things around, trying to make it perfect before a single person has ever seen it. So let me me show you how fast you can get one live, and one that actually looks very presentable. Now, the first thing that you need to do is get Shopify. So if you click this link right here, it's going to get us access to Shopify for $1 for the next 3 months. So pretty straightforward. All you have to do is insert your email just like so. So as you can see here, that $1 per month offer is attached. So instead of 39 bucks, it's going to be $1 per month. So I'm going to insert my credit card info, and then we will be good to go. Then you just need the basic, should be fine. All right, so this is what our dashboard should look like. Now let's just say that this is a brand that we want to emulate. It's a good example. What I can do is take the link right here, and then we're going to go back into the description of the video, and we're going to click on this link right here. This link is then going to take us to Zip Store, and this is what makes all the magic happen. So all I have to do is take this link right here and copy and paste, and we're going to press build my store. What it's doing is it's scanning the product. It's coming up with a score. Of course, we want to press English. From here, we can choose our target audience. So this is who we're building the store for. I'm just going to go with the crafty millennial. The communication style, so how it's going to write. Just going to go with this one right here, create your own penguin pal. And then it's going to start building out the store. All right, so after, less than a minute, this is what the store looks like. So what's cool is that we can go in and change up things however we would like. I generally like to go with more of a minimal look like this. You can change the fonts as well. That looks fine. I'll change this to brick. Buttons will be brick. Then I can add in emojis just like that. So that already looks a lot better. You can change the images as well. So let's change the first one to this. I can also add in sections that could be useful. So let's see, image gallery, you can do promos, banner, customer reviews. Let's try this image gallery. So it adds this cool little image gallery right here. This is what it looks like on mobile. Looks super clean. We didn't do anything really, and it already looks ready to go. So it also builds out a homepage just like this, which honestly isn't going to be too useful, nor is the reviews page right here. It's nice to have, but realistically, we're going to be sending all of our traffic to the product page anyway. Mind you, it also builds out a catalog, which is really cool because if we go to the catalog right here, we press add product. And if we have, another product variant that we want to import, so let's just say we have another product, let's go into bestsellers right here. And let's just say like this is another variant that I want to sell. What's cool is I can copy the URL up here, go back, add manually, and then simply copy and paste. And it's going to do the same exact thing that we did from the start and build out a product page catered toward this product. So it's going to ensure that the writing style, all the contents, along with the imaging is going to be built out for, obviously the product that we are importing. So it's useful if you guys have multiple SKUs on your store and you want to add in different products and not only just have one. So that's super useful. But again, you're going to be directing most of your traffic or pretty much all of your traffic to this product page. So this is what you want to optimize for. You want to make this look as nice as possible. You can play around with it, but the main thing here is speed, efficiency, and also just presentability. And it hits all three of those, which is amazing with us doing literally nothing. Guys, it's been less than like 2 minutes and we already have a store that's presentable. Can change all the images. I can add in images, but if I'm happy with what I currently have and I think this looks perfect, all you have to do is press connect store up here. Now, because we have already signed up for Shopify, we simply go back to our Shopify dashboard here. We copy the URL at the top. We go into connect my existing store. We paste in right here. We install the app. We install again. It's going to be connecting our Shopify store like so. And then it has been connected just like that. We just press publish store if we are happy. It's publishing store right here. As you can see, all the products were uploaded successfully. Nice. We can go back into Shopify and then here go into products and just double check, make sure that we got it. Yes, we do. We can change the title here, any of the product description so that it will reflect on our store. But if we go to online store right here and then go into editing our theme, we will see that this is the store that has properly been pasted over. We can just double check the catalog right here. We'll press this guy. And then yes, we do have our product page that we built with AI in less than 2 minutes ready to go and ready to test. Pretty mind-blowing how good this is getting, and it's just gonna make it so much easier for us. Now, the last rule is the one that separates every store that you've ever seen succeed from the ones that disappear after 6 months. And that's build a flywheel. So in 2001, Amazon stock went down around 90% during the dot-com crash. So what Bezos did was he pulled his executive team into a room with a business consultant. And this room only had one purpose, and it was to solve the question, how do we grow sustainably and profitably? Now, they spent hours thinking of a solution until Bezos remembered an idea from a book that he read. Now, the idea is called the flywheel effect. Now, the idea basically explained how great companies build momentum over time instead of relying on one magic move. So Bezos applied this idea and drew something on a napkin. It was a loop with 6 steps for growth. So lower prices lead to better customer experience. Better customer experience drives more traffic. More traffic attracts third-party sellers. Third-party sellers expand selection. Bigger selection drives down costs. And then lower costs let Amazon offer even lower prices for a better customer experience. And the cool thing is that for the next several years, every single Amazon initiative had to plug into one of those steps. So if a project didn't connect to the flywheel, it wouldn't get funded. Now here's the thing, most people, they're not running a business. They're basically running a funnel, right? They create an ad or content to drive traffic to the product page, they make a sale, and that is it. Now mind you, that can work for a while, but when the product demand lowers, the funnel dies and everything resets to zero. So what happens? They have to find another product, they have to build another funnel until it happens again, and they go in this loop. But what you need to understand is that funnels don't work to build a real business over time, because sales are not the end, they're just the middle step. So here's what your store should look like. So the community that you're serving is always going to be in the center. Then we start the loop with the product, and then a strong product gets you access to creators who actually believe in what they are promoting. And then what happens there? Good creators in the community drive more sales because the community trusts them. And then once those sales start stacking up, they give you leverage with manufacturers and customers so that you can start building relationships with both of them. Strong relationships get you better margins because you can negotiate better prices with manufacturers. And then you can also go back to customers who already bought and sell to them again. And this wouldn't cost you anything. So better margins means that you can reinvest into the brand itself. So the custom packaging, better content, better assets. And when your brand actually looks the part, customers notice that. And that's what's going to separate you from every other store that's selling the same thing. So the more customers that you have inside of your community, the more products that you can sell back to that same group. And that's what good e-commerce business looks like. So draw each step into your own business. Now, if you can only draw a straight line from ad to sale, you don't actually have a business. Here's the thing though, these 5 principles tell you how to think, but they don't tell you how to actually start a business, because if you've never built a brand, the principles are useless until you have the basics down. So I made this video that walks you through how to build everything from zero. It has everything to get started today so that you can apply the rules that I just told you. I really hope this was useful to you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.